else but little true. I'd like to know your point of view.
Hi everybody, welcome to Evening TV. I'm Evening Ransom and I'm contacting you today from Puerto Morelos in Quintana Roo, Mexico. I got a question recently and it got me to thinking about something that was also going on in my own life, and so I wanted to talk with you about it. But before I do that, I wanted to remind you, if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please do that today. Just like the videos, it really helps me out. It makes it so that YouTube knows that it's good content and that it's worth pushing out to more people. So please do like my videos, comment on my videos, hit the notification bell, and subscribe. Do comment because I'm very, very active in the comment section. I try and answer everybody that comments on to my videos. I figure you go through, you put the time in to do that, the least I can do is answer you. So that's, if you want an answer to a question, that's a really good way to do it. So the question was, when can I go about setting the record straight after the smear campaign? I have given this a lot of thought. I have, and I've tried a lot of things. I mean, it's been a long time for me since the smear campaign happened. Although it was ongoing, it never really let up. It kind of kept going for many, many, many years. But it started in like 2001, and then it really hit. It was like really, really big and intense for about 4 or 5 years. And then it kind of dwindled after that. But the gossip and the lies never stopped. It kind of, it actually had a couple big resurgences. Like when my ex-husband got involved with a woman. He's now since divorced again. But when he first got involved with her, there was a big resurgence of rumors and gossip about me started up, and that kind of stuff. So the answer to the question is really twofold. One is that most likely you're not going to have a lot of luck trying to set the record straight with anybody. The best way you can set the record straight is just to live your life and do what you want to do. However, I have a caveat on this, and I just recently did this in my own life. So in my own life, I mostly just did that. I just tried to live my life, and I was basically resigned to letting everyone go from my past life pretty much, and trying to just, if I could get my kids to adulthood and have a happy life with my kids as adults, that would be fine. When my son died, that kind of changed things a little bit, because my thing that had gotten me through all along was no longer going to happen. So at that point, I just kind of watched things for a while, but that is when I started my YouTube channel. That's when I started talking about the abuse that happened. At that point also, my youngest son was 18 and I graduated from high school, which was the other thing I was waiting for them to be no longer legally under the control of the disordered people. So as soon as my kids were at that stage, I started the YouTube channel. And of course, at that time, right at that same time is when my oldest son died, which also for a moment stopped me from doing the channel, but then really pushed me to even do it more. So in that sense, I wasn't setting the record straight with any one person, but I was talking about what happened, which gave me some sense of closure, which gave me some sort of comfort, because I was at least, maybe not to the people themselves, but I was saying what happened finally. I had never done that before. The few occasions that I have tried to tell someone what happened, the reaction that I got depends on a couple of things. If the person that you're talking to has a relationship with the abuser, or has already made a choice, or heard the story from the abuser, your chances of getting through to them are very, very slim. Very, very slim. But if the person sort of was on your side, didn't really care very much, and really the first time they're really hearing the story as a whole is from you, your chances are better. However, the truth of the matter is that people really don't want to be bothered with it anyway. So if there's too much of if it comes off as drama, or that anything like that, then it may not get a very good reaction. Okay, but here recently, I did something that I would never recommend to somebody else, but I did it, and I feel good about doing it, just because of why I did it. So I had all along, there'd been, this huge smear campaign, and a lot of my relationships were destroyed and all this stuff, but all along there were two particular lies that really, really bothered me, and because they impacted other people. And so these two lies I really wanted to set straight, and I didn't necessarily, if they didn't believe me, they didn't believe me, but I had to, for my own self, I had to say it to them. I had to tell them what the truth was. And these two lies were, one was to my niece and nephew, who were really little when this all happened. My nephew had just been born, and my niece was the same age as my younger son, about 5 years old. So I wanted them to know, because they had grown up believing what the story my mom tells, the story that everyone tells, which is that I just turned my back on the family for some unknown reason. I just turned my back on the family. Or that, I was involved with drugs, and that's impacted me, and that's why I turned on the family. Something along these lines. And, they were just helpless. They didn't know why I did it, that kind of thing. And I wanted my niece and nephew to know that I never turned my back on the family, and that I, every one of their birthdays that I missed, every holiday that I missed killed me, crushed me. I would love to have been at their events, their sporting events, their graduations, all of that stuff. And so I didn't want to get into the rest of the family. I had to write it in a letter, and it got really long and convoluted, and it was easier for me to make a video about it, really. So I did that. And basically just told them that one thing. I wanted to set that one lie straight, that I did not turn my back on anybody, that I've been pretty much playing the role that I was assigned by the family, and that I didn't see any other way to do it, because I wanted to keep conflict down from my kids, and I didn't want to, for their sakes, when they were children, I didn't want to tell them this, because I didn't want to set them up with the same cognitive dissonance that my sons had, because these 4 kids grew up so differently, because my sons grew up hearing people say one thing and knowing something else was true. They heard their mom was a drug addict and didn't want to be in the family, and their dad was the better parent, yet they're being abused by their dad, and their mom is heartbroken. She doesn't have a family. So it's like, they knew it wasn't true, and they had a lot of cognitive dissonance, which was not good for my kids. It cost them so much. And it also cost these kids their relationship with one another, because there was this gulf of understanding about how the world was, and everybody in the family was different to my niece and nephew than they were to my kids. So like my ex-husband was a wonderful uncle. He was a wonderful uncle. He was a terrible father. He wasn't a wonderful, he was just lots of fun, and, he was outgoing, and he was funny, and, they really liked him, and, so that was the different relationship they had with my ex-husband than my kids did. Even their own parents, they were pretty abusive to my kids, and, so that kind of thing was, the grandparents that they share were abusive to my kids, and a lot of them were abusive just in the fact that they didn't put the kids first, and that they would talk about me and say negative things about me in front of my kids. I say to them, any questions they had to ask me, they could ask me anything they wanted, but I wouldn't go any further into it. But I wanted them to know that much, that I did not I did not voluntarily not be part of their lives, that I love them very much, and I would have loved to have been part of their life. The other lie was that during this whole smear campaign thing, my ex-husband was telling our business partners that I was stealing or embezzling money or something like that. If you've ever watched any of my stories about the divorce, like I'll post it, I'll connect a few on here, like, the worst thing anyone's ever done to me is the title of one. Why I went to jail, I think, is another one, things like that. Anyway, what I discovered one day when I got let into the office is that I was locked out of the office, and when I got inside the office, there were all these forgeries, things that he was forging my name on, and I didn't. He got them stolen back. I got sent to jail eventually after that, and it was a whole big mess. But I was so scared, and I had no idea. Everything was so confusing to me at the time. I was basically having a nervous breakdown. I just didn't know what was going on, and so I didn't ever do anything about it. I just knew I figured he was just trying to screw me over. But as time went on, I started thinking, was he screwing them over and trying to blame me for it or something like that? I didn't know the answer to that question, but what I wanted to do is I wanted to just tell them that if they were told that I had ever stolen anything from them, that was absolutely not true. Is I never stole from them, and that was what I needed to tell them. I just wanted to say that much. I said, I said that to him. I go, it was a 7-minute video I made for them. I'm like, I just, if you were ever told that I stole from you, I need you to know that I absolutely did not steal from you. Whether you believe me or not, I need to say that to you. No, all I want them to know is I never stole anything from them. I never stole anything from anybody. And I just wanted to say that. Okay, so I did this. I made these 2 videos. Then I had this before I leave the country. Before I leave the country, I want to just set those 2 things straight. So I made these 2 videos. The reason I did it is because I really had nothing to lose. I really had nothing to lose. I had no relationship with these other 2 people. No relationship at all. So there was nothing, no bad of it that could come to me. With my niece and nephew, we barely any relationship. So there was if I did this, there was a chance that we could have more of a relationship, more intimacy going forward. I knew the chance was probably small, but what I wasn't risking much to try for it, because all I have with them is maybe once a year seeing them, and a very superficial relationship that isn't based really a lot on knowing each other or anything like that. And they don't really know anything about the family or what's going on, or me. And so, I was sacrificing this barely any relationship with them for a potential true relationship with them. And I am thrilled to say that I did hear from both my niece and nephew, and it was a really loving message, so that was really awesome and great. I haven't heard from this other couple, and I don't really expect to. I think that's mostly pretty much in line with what I expected. The answer to the question is, there really is no set time for setting the record straight. You set the record straight basically by living the truth and living it out loud, and making sure, letting people see you and know you for who you are. The caveat is that sometimes you have to do things just for yourself. Sometimes you have to do things that for no other ulterior reason, just that you have to do them for yourself. And in this case, these 2 things I just had to say. I didn't have it absolutely worked out a certain way, but I just had to say it. And I felt such an enormous relief after I did. Because I just had this terrible feeling about leaving the country and having this be the end of it, having this be the conclusion of it, and having them forever thinking, having nobody ever suggest to them the truth. And so I wanted to at least leave a little bit of a question mark in their minds. I wanted somebody to say the truth about what really happened. And if that somebody had to be me, so be it. It had to be me. It's been almost 20 years, and so it clearly had to be me. Of course, all this time I hoped it would get cleared up. I never in a million years imagined that it was going to never get cleared up. That those lies would last and be, just get perpetuated for all these years. I thought for sure it would get straightened out by now. But what that tells me is that there's a big investment in keeping the lies, alive. There's a big investment from all the people involved, particularly my ex-husband, my brother, my parents. But I do feel really a lot better about having said the truth. So sometimes you have to do things like that, but I would definitely not suggest doing that if you're very invested in them doing anything, in the person you're talking to or anything like that, doing anything. And I think we have a deep desire to be heard. We have a really deep desire to be heard, and I totally get that. But it's not going to work out very well for us if telling people that have already heard the lie and have any kind of relationship with the person who lied about you, because they don't want to believe that they were wrong. They don't want to believe. There's all these reasons why. And in really, the first thing we learn about something, the first thing we process, that it's really hard to convince us otherwise. Once the first thing gets in there, it's very hard to convince us otherwise. And so that's why the abuser got in there first, and why they spread it so far is because they know this about people. It's very hard for you to go in and change someone's mind. That's the thing. So mostly it doesn't work out very well. I have not ever had it work out well, but even still, there are some things that you just have to do for yourself. You have to do it to take care of yourself. You have to do it because it is the truth, and you have a need for some sort of justice. You have a need for someone to to say something true about you, and so you do that. But it has to be something like this, where it's about you, only about you. I would not do this if it's about anybody else. But if you want to tell somebody the truth about you, I would say you just need to do that, and you don't care so much what they do with it. You just need to say it, and that was what was true for me. There is no time when, oh, here's the perfect time for go ahead and tell the truth about who you are and all that stuff, because it's never going to work out the way you want it to. That's probably not ever going to happen. I mean, I don't want to say never, but even if it does sort of work out the way you want it to, it's not going to probably happen the way you envision it. It's not going to happen as an immediate response to your talking to them, your setting the record straight. It's definitely not going to work out exactly like, very few people are going to go, oh, thank you for telling me, that's probably likely not going to happen. Of course, I don't know everybody's individual circumstances, but that's what I have found in my life. And some of these times it's been very surprising to me. Very, very surprising. Now, maybe one day when they're much older, I have opened up a door to have a real relationship with them. My biggest concern and biggest reason for doing it is that I wanted to open up a door for my son with them. Wanted them to be able to have a real relationship, because when my other son died, this son, they were the only one that knew the truth about each other's lives. Everyone else believes a lie. I believe the truth, but I wasn't there for everything. They witnessed each other's lives and know the truth about it all, and I didn't. So, that's what my son lost one of the things my son lost when his brother died. And so I wanted to open it up. The cousins are the next thing that he has as far as the relationship goes. And I thought if they knew the truth about his life and his family, that would give them a chance to have a more real relationship. So I opened up the door to that. Maybe it will help eventually, maybe not, but I feel good about doing it. And I feel good about it regardless. If nothing happens, I still feel good about it. So that's my answer to that question. Thanks so much for staying to the end, you guys. I really appreciate it. And like I said, please do give me a thumbs up, share this video, hit the notification bell, subscribe to my channel, all of that stuff. I really, really appreciate it. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.